Welcome everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us as we led in prayer. All of God remain stand for that pledge of allegiance that'll be led by Aldermen.
Heavenly Father, once again we gather here before you, Lord, and we ask you for your wisdom. Lord, we know that gaining wisdom comes from you, reading your word, Lord. So we ask you now just to be here with our meeting, Lord. Lord, I ask you to be with our country during the election time, Lord. We know that you control everything that happens here, Lord. So we're asking for a godly candidate to be elected, Lord. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We have two meetings that we need to approve the minutes. We had the September 15 meeting, and then we had a special meeting on September 30 of 2020. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes for both of those meetings?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve minutes of the regular meeting of September 15, 2020, any additions, deletions, and corrections, and the special meeting for September 30th. Any additions, deletions, and corrections.
We have a motion by Alderman Thames, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Board, y'all will remember that we had a special meeting to discuss several changes to our city ordinances. And so after we had that meeting, went back, then again last meeting we went over that, reported the recommendations of the committee. And then after that, further went and Mr. Nick Manley and Whitney Cook went in and Nick wrote these and put these in final form. So tonight we have these ordinances in final form. So as you can see on there, we have several of those. So Whitney, will you come up and just kind of walk us through each one, and we'll try to, we'll go through each one. So the first one on the agenda is the resolution to amend the truck route ordinance. I think I can get this one. Basically, all we did with this is we realized that on Marathon Way, that we need to allow the trucks to come off of Goodman and get to Marathon Way because we have an industry there. And then also the same thing on Elmore, so they can go from Goodman down Elmore, turn on the Marathon Way to get there, but not go further south on Elmore, not go further south on Airways to protect our roads, so that's not necessary. So that's basically all we're doing is amending the ordinance.
That's correct.
So is there a motion to open discussion and or approve?
It actually stops at Haley Road, which is the ending point for the warehousing. So they can turn into the warehousing, but after that, when they come out of the warehousing, they need to go back to the west. We stopped it before we got to Tullahoma because that intersection is it's a very misaligned intersection anyhow, going north on Tullahoma with 2 lanes, fragile road, very fragile road going. Trash trucks and deliveries, bill of ladings will allow anybody to go there. What we're not doing is encouraging people to use it as a shortcut or to get to locations that have nothing to do with a bill of lading inside our city.
I've got some concerns. I'd like to see us take the west side down Highway 301. I mean, I know we're saying, Mississippi Highway, I think once we get, of course, right now we got the bridge now, so it's kind of a moot point, but like you said, maybe we can go back and address that once we get done.
Well, and that's what I've told Alderman Hughes. One of the things that's one of the reasons we cut it short shy of Tullahoma is because from Haley Road all the way to Malone, which is our boundaries, it's 2 lanes, no curb, no gutter, there's residential, and we don't want to deteriorate the road any further. I would argue the same on that side at this point. We're 2 lanes, no curb, no gutter. You hit all residential. Once you get past the 51 area, and those warehouses that are right there off of Staunton and things like that. Once you get past that, it's solid residential. So what we don't want to do is create a truck route going that way to access Memphis or to access Horn Lake and further deteriorate our roads on that side. I would feel more comfortable amending it once we had the road designed to withstand vehicular traffic and big truck traffic, 5-lane, 4-lane, something like that that has a more controlled design. And without knowing the thickness of that road and what we've already patched on that road, I wouldn't want to cause more deterioration, because right now we're trying to find funding to get improvements done on the east side of State Line Road, and we would in turn kind of encourage them on the west side. That's my argument to that right now.
So the way, basically what you're saying, the way it is now allows all trucks to reach all the industrial developments that they need to get to.
Correct.
So just going any further past that, there's no purpose for that.
Not right now, not within our city limits. You can still get that way with the bill of lading, so nobody's restricting you if you've got a delivery or something of that sense. But to encourage traffic of 18-wheelers going in both those directions by making it a truck route when it serves no purpose does nothing but further deteriorate our road systems to me. So. But I do understand in the future, I mean, if we get it prepared and if there is an extension need, we could always come back and get it.
So is there any other discussion, or is there a motion to approve the truck route? Got a motion from Alderman Gallagher to approve it, second from Alderman Wheeler. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for amendment to the property maintenance code.
What we were suggesting on this one in 2.1 under the general paragraph, we have a final sentence which adds tarps, plywood, or any other unfinished materials being used as a permanent solution on the exterior of the structure. That does not include ones that are clearly under construction, damaged, something that's being worked on. It does include those people that want to enclose their garage with tarps or plywood or something that is clearly a non-permanent material. So adding this here will allow code enforcement to regulate those that are right now abusing that.
Got a motion from Alderman Payne to approve it, second from Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for an amendment to our transient vendor ordinance.
This change will put more description and definitive locations of where they can locate within the city. If you'll remember a while back with C-stores, we put 2 per intersection, must be a lighted intersection, have to be diagonal so they don't disrupt traffic. What we're proposing to do with this one is to basically add that into the transient vendor situation as well. Controlling traffic is a big issue. There's been some situations in larger retail places where transient vendors were previously allowed, where it has impeded traffic heavily. So it needs to be in a more controlled environment. We want to allow them, but we don't want to be overrun with it, and we don't want them commingling with heavy retail traffic. So we found it better to put them at major lighted intersections where there's controlled points of access, to limit them to 2 so it's not overrun over one of the corners. And to be diagonal so you have both ways of flowing traffic with it. So the suggestion is to add this in here as further definition of where they can go.
Well, we have a motion from Alderman Flores, a second from Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
What is this going to pass? This going to affect produce?
Produce, if it's grown inside the state of Mississippi, it will restrict where they can go. And we actually just went over this with Nick. It doesn't require them to get a transient vendor license, but it does require them to abide by the transient vendor ordinance. So it will define where they can be located, but it will not require them to license.
So the guy in here, this big lost park, is he going to be able to stay there?
That is a lighted intersection. I would argue that Northwest Drive is not considered a major arterial road, so it very well can be.
That applies to our district around itself.
I'm sorry, what?
That applies to crops stuff around here instead.
You're in the state, yes.
There's a misconception that for some reason that we have produce or poultry or goods that are grown in the
Right.
law, the city ordinance still classifies you as a transient vendor, so it's a state law. It's just exempt you from a requirement to get a license, but that's what it ought to be. It doesn't exempt you from our requirements that are done pursuant to 25, those other two different statutes.
Right, so yes, a long way of saying it will impede it.
But then, a follow-up to that, when you're at Interstate 55 at State Line Road, it would not.
Right. Your definition of your arterial road system and major collectors is identified in our comprehensive plan in the transportation section of that, which we did place in here where you can find it. And it's got certain specifics, high volume, collecting residential or other commercial areas and gathering into a main street system. The lighted intersection, again, is important because if you're running a, say, a C-store, which is already extremely high volume, and then you place like a high volume transient vendor on there, then the traffic becomes a major issue, not only for your parking, but also getting in and out of that. So it just gives us a little bit more control, mainly for the traffic circulation.
And it's fair to note also, the reason that this came up again is it's abused. I mean, the ordinance we have now is just, it's abused. We have people that are trying to abuse it. And I'll go on record as saying that I do think there's an appropriate place for a transient vendor. However, it should not be one that's competing with people that invest in brick and mortar in our city and pay property taxes. And so that's not a fair level of commerce. And so I think for that reason, you have to be extremely careful with your transient vendors. And Andrea can testify to the amount that try to work the system. So is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to amend the business permit ordinance.
This situation, my code enforcement officers work closely with the city clerk's department on annual renewals of business licenses and ones that open businesses without the license. They go out there, they write them a ticket, they get into court, and basically they pay a $35 fine. And the business license is $25 itself. So the fine a lot of times doesn't outweigh the fact that they can just go and run their business and not be bothered by getting it. So there was not a lot of teeth to it. So the suggestion, I believe, by both clerk's office and code enforcement was making it a little bit more painful. Obviously, we're putting a max of 500. That's not what's going to happen every time. If you do see that person just absolutely refuses to comply, we wanted to cap it with a little stiffer penalty so it gets their attention as opposed to a $35 fine. So we do, the only thing we're changing is a $500 not to exceed amount.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
You said $500?
Not to exceed 500, yes.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for amendment to Title 13 ordinances.
This one has several involved with it. The first one, again, just having more teeth in our violation and fines. A lot of our code enforcement items did not have any jail time. And there's very few instances where we would need this, but there are those situations where, again, somebody just refuses to comply. They show up to court, fine doesn't outweigh what they're trying to do. They don't show up to court, we can't go pick them up. So the first one, which is going to be 13-2CB, violations, remedial action penalties, puts imprisonment possibility up to 30 days in there. The second one is where we further define what the commercial vehicles allowed in residential areas or any areas are. And it specifically says no commercial vehicle other than a private passenger automobile with a total gross vehicle rate of 8,000 pounds, which transports or has the capacity to transport commercial products, equipment, or passengers. So that gives further definition to our commercial vehicles that end up parked in residential zones. A little bit more clarification there, and we actually extended the trailer length from 16 feet to 20 feet because the 16 feet was kind of an odd measurement when you put the tongue and the actual trailer on there, so they wanted to up it to 20 feet. That was 13-7C4. 13-7C7 further defined what you can park on the side of your house with or in the rear if you get approved to do that, and that is a hard continuing surface, asphalt or concrete. That clears that up because a lot of times in court they were putting just 4 blocks where the tires were. This says it has to be a continuing hard surface. 1313B is concerning temporary buildings, and it states that temporary buildings should not be located on construction sites for storage. You can have your construction trailers where your workers come in and out, payroll, things like that. That's still allowed. Those go up for 1 year. We haven't moved that. This just says you can't store all your equipment and your materials on site in a big pod. And the final one is temporary buildings in residential zones. We had a deep discussion on this. At one point in time, it was 48 hours for the pods. The suggestion now and what we put in the resolution here is 14 days, continuous days. And if we obviously see hardships after that, they need to come to us, show us proof, and we'll work with them as we need to. But those are the changes in this resolution.
We have a motion from Alderman Kelly, second from Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
What did you, go back to the stuff in the backyard, I think we didn't have any.
It's not, it doesn't refer to the backyard. I'm just stating, if you do by change, you're not supposed to park anything in the backyard. RVs are kind of looked at where they can put the continuous drive and put it behind their fence. This just specifically says instead of having the 4 blocks where your tires of any vehicle are, it has to be one continuous hard surface pad.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to amend the sign ordinance.
The sign ordinance and summary conditional use permits are required to do reader boards right now throughout the city. You see plenty of them come through here. We've got it regulated enough administratively with sign permits, and we feel confident that a conditional use permit going through formal review all the way up to the Board of Aldermen is not necessary any longer. Debbie's really good at regulating them, so am I. We have a permitting process for the office, so one of the suggestions is to remove the conditional use permit requirement, just have them go through the administrative permits like every other sign. And additionally, with technology growing and the videography coming online heavily with churches and schools and things like that, right now our reader board ordinance says you can only use white lighting. It can only be lettering, no videos, no color, anything of that nature. We would like to remove that and allow the color and the video to be allowed. And finally, agricultural zones right now do not allow for the signage, but we would like to amend that to allow for what we consider public assembly uses, and that covers your churches, your schools, other assembly places. So even though they're not commercially zoned areas, they do constitute a public assembly area, which a lot of times needs notifications. They like the reader boards and things. We want to allow them to have them.
Wait a minute for a second.
We have a motion from Alderman Wheeler, second from Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion?
Quick question, Whitney, wasn't the original premise of the plain either amber or white lettering to keep from being a distraction?
It was also to create uniformity within our signs, and also because technology was so basic back then that your colors and your loud lettering and things like that was undesirable, for better lack of words. Now that technology has caught up with it, it is a little less intrusive. It's not the big blinking open sign on you. It's videography. It's softer colors. We can always dim them down, but it does hurt a lot of businesses that can't put a projector. I mean, the weather. They can't put a rain cloud. They can't put sun when it's sunny. I mean, that's how restrictive we are. I think the intent at the beginning was a good intent, but like I said, now that technology's gotten there, and we've seen from a traffic standpoint, and a hazard standpoint from just driving on the road, it hasn't been an issue anywhere else. So time has proven that that shouldn't be a concern any longer.
And we still have some control as far as if they put anything inappropriate up on the boards.
I mean, that's going to be probably a question for the gentleman sitting right there.
I mean, yeah,
We can talk about it.
That's just what I'm saying, you shouldn't ask that question.
Any other discussion about the sign ordinance? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to amend City Ordinance 1163.
This one is pertaining to the basketball goals and creating a high increase in fine. Again, we tried to go across the board with all the code enforcement violations. They all had a very diluted fine system in it, didn't create a lot of attention-getting amounts. So this was the last of them that we wanted to up a fine to $500 and possible imprisonment if they do in fact continuously violate the ordinance. It would start at your minimums and it would allow a maximum that would be a little bit more attention-getting.
I don't remember us talking about this,
I mean, it's already on the books.
Yeah.
All this is increasing the fines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all this says. But it's always been on the books, but again, it just had a low fine level that did not grab anybody's attention to actually have them abide by the law.
Like, in the street.
Yeah, impeding street traffic, yes, it's in our right of way, it's impeding traffic, or asked to remove it, they continually put it back out. I think right now the fines were hitting like $25, and everybody continuously kept doing it. Neighbors complaining. So again, this is the worst case scenario here, but it does allow us to go up if we see that somebody's just steadily abusing the system, and that'll be a judgment for the courts to see in the background of how many tickets and warnings have been given. So it's not anything we're going to throw out tomorrow, everybody has a basketball ball out there. But I mean, if you just want to, you know, ignore our rules, then we want to have a little bit more teeth to get your attention.
Mr. Mayor, I make accept the city ordinance by the last 6 weeks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to amend City Ordinance 723.
This is the placement of carts around your home, garbage carts. It was very general in our ordinance right now that just says may not be placed in public view. That is really hard to enforce by code enforcement because public view to you is different from public view to them. If you go around the corner or in a corner lot, public view can almost be on every side of your house. So we wanted to get a little bit more definitive on it. What it says now is to be located, it cannot be located in front of the primary structure's building line at any time other than between the hours of your pickup times. We didn't change the pickup times, but basically where the front of your house is, which is your building setback line, it cannot go in front of that unless it is during pickup hours. But it just gave a little bit more definition, a little bit more clear case for code enforcement.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor, I mentioned if we can discuss this in our meeting about this other can cleaners, that kind of stuff. I invited the gentleman there, would it be okay for him to come forward and kind of explain what he does and the need for that extra time on the next day, kind of stuff would be okay for him to
Sure. Or did you want? Sure. Is this the last one?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Now?
We want to vote on this first and then have it speak.
Well, I think what he's wanting to speak about affects whether or not we pass this ordinance.
I see.
Right.
Hello, I'm Kyle Coker. The reason that it needs to be out a little longer for us because we were doing same-day cleanings at first, but what happened was the trash guy kept getting further behind and behind and behind. So for us, it was not enough time in the day to get all of these cans clean. So we went to next day cleaning to avoid getting not being able to get everybody clean was a problem. So we put it to next day cleaning so that way we can get every customer's cans cleaned and sanitized. We're just trying to keep the city clean as far as keeping cans clean. But that's why we needed or at least, you know, like today I done Mr. Hood's can, and I was there like at 9:00 a.m. this morning, which it wasn't out a long time after, I guess your trash pickup was yesterday. But, I mean, we're not gonna be cleaning cans at 10 o'clock at night. You know, we get started about 5:30 in the morning, and we finish up by about 6 or 7 in the evening.
But you would explain to them what your service is.
Well, what we do is we come behind the trash truck and we sanitize and deodorize the cans. I have a rig that was built that picks these cans up just like the trash truck does, and it goes into my hopper in 250-degree hot water, cleans these cans. And then we set the cans back down and we spray them off on the outside, then we drag the cans back up to the customer's house. We don't leave them on the street. Once we clean them, we get them out of the way, you know, of traffic.
If you do that, why, I'm trying to understand why would it be difficult to do that? Again, why would it be hard to walk to the house, especially?
I mean, we can, but sometimes, you know, for instance, this is only my 7th month doing this, and we're doing about 20 cans a day. But when we start doing about 50 cans a day, it's going to be a time issue. I'm going to have that can right there so I can grab it, clean it, and then roll it back up, because it's going to be more time having to go up to a house and then bring it back down. I mean, it's not a huge issue, but it would be nice if we could leave it out just a little bit longer.
Well, this ordinance, just for everybody to remind everybody, this ordinance is much more lenient than our previous ordinance. So what would be allowed, like for this gentleman's service, like you could, if you know you're going to have your can clean, you could move your can wherever you normally keep it. You could move it closer to the road as long as it's behind the building line of your house. Like you could just leave it there in your driveway at the building line of your house. That way, you know, the business could see the can. So it's more lenient than what we have now. It's just, and the only thing I would say, and hey, I appreciate your comments. I think your service is outstanding.
Appreciate it.
I didn't even know about that.
Well, nobody knows about it, and a lot of cities has started making it mandatory that every homeowner gets their can cleaned, because it's just so much cleaner.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of nasty stinking cans. You
Right.
know, and you have thousands of them. It's going to start to smell.
Sure. Sorry.
You know, but everything is clean. It's just going to be. It's better for everybody.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great service. On the flip side of that, though, here's what the issue is. We have citizens that are already concerned about those that leave their cart down
Yeah,
the street.
I totally understand where you guys are coming from. Totally.
So
Because
what
I wouldn't want a
would
bunch
be
of
afraid of
cans
is
left
like
out
if you
either.
do give an extra day, it's already a problem now. So then there's no way to gauge that. So like
Yeah.
now we know on a given house, we know what your pickup day is. Whereas if now we're allowing the carts to be there on a day that's not the pickup day, then there's no way for us to know, like, hey, is that cart are they just 1 day past their pickup day, or are they 4 days past their pickup day?
Yeah.
There's no way for us to gauge that.
Yeah.
So my recommendation to the board is don't do that, because I can just tell you, citizens already are sensitive to that. And if you add another day, then like I just said, people are not going to know how many days it's been there, and then you've lost all control of regulating how long the cans down the street. So, and again, that's not me. I'm just telling you straightforward. That's citizens who have told me directly, hey, you know, we don't like it that carts are left in the street.
I'm certainly telling you how to do your business, because I don't know about it. But could it not be possible for you to tell the customer, hey, the city ordinance here in Southaven is this, so I need you to leave it?
Well, I mean, I'll have to, if that's passed.
Well, I mean, if
Because I
they're
don't know.
calling you, if they're calling you, and they're to get the service, normally it's, I mean, you can say, okay, hey, sir, ma'am, I appreciate it, so what we're gonna do, next Wednesday, your trash pickup on Tuesday, would you, mind just, leaving it at the property line, or whatever, explain to them where to leave it, so it may be an extra few steps for your guy to get it, but, they understand how to.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah.
I'm not opposed, I'm siding with the mayor on this one, but I'm not opposed to down the line, like if we came back, we can just readdress the issue, because, you get a lot of houses,
Well, that's going to happen. That's the whole goal here, is to get everybody. But I also see y'all's point where you don't want all these cans left on the curb.
Well, you wouldn't know. My point is, you wouldn't know.
I totally understand.
If you
So what I
change
need to do is I might need to get some tags to tag these cans to where when the people come by, they can say, oh, his can's getting cleaned today. you know, if we don't have one of my tags on there, then they can say, this guy's, he's out of line.
But let me just, again, these are citizens that have told me this, so let me create another scenario for everybody. All right, let's say that you have 5 houses on the street, and you clean one day. Because, I mean, if you get an order, you're gonna take the order, you're not gonna turn down business.
Right. Well,
Or else
I'm gonna clean them all the same day. I'm not gonna go out there just to clean one can.
Okay, well, that
We set everybody up on, you know, it's all the same day. Well, not everybody's the same day,
Yeah.
but that one, like for instance, that street you're talking about, I'm not gonna go there 5 times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there one time.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm not gonna clean your can just because you called me today. I'm not gonna run my truck over there just to
Okay,
clean your
that makes
can. And
sense.
it's,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
But my only thing again would just go back to if you're allowing cars to be at the street on a day it's not their pickup day, then it creates our code enforcement is going to create a nightmare for them knowing like, hey, is this their pickup day? How many days has it been there? And then you got citizens like, hey, why are we allowing the cars to stay there more than one day? It kind of defeats the whole point of what happened.
What's like this, like he brought up a good idea. I mean, you know, this guy's been bringing down, but people, when they drive their can up, they just leave it like in the driveway, you know, away from the street, before enough, you know, not that much, not to be picked up.
Yeah, that's my concern.
If he has his tag on, and we, our code guys know, okay, you know, this probably left there because the guy's picking on cleaning today, and then he puts it up when he gets through, he wrote our stuff, you know, on the, you know, out of the way, you know, whenever he gets through.
Because I don't want them on the street either. I mean, I want them as far as out of line of sight as
He don't leave them on the street once he cleans them, he actually rolls them on up to your house.
Well, I get that, but then go back the other way. What if you're going to pick it up on a Tuesday or let's say a Thursday, and they bring it down on a Monday? Then you don't know. Like our guys are not going to know how long the cart's been on the street.
Well, can I also say, and this is just a tidbit from the code enforcement side, it's not the people who want to do right either. Carts clean. That's not the abusers. It's the
They're the
lazy
ones
ones,
causing the
that
whole problem.
don't
Yeah.
care. So if we blanket it throughout the city, we've given the abusers the permission to leave out even longer. And I don't know how we would regulate between the two, but I just see a domino effect. That's the problem we have, is the ones that just refuse to leave out and leave out 1, 2, 3 days. And it's not because they're wanting your service, it's because they just are too lazy to get it. So extending that blanket, the whole city with that, is just giving them further permissions. If there's a way to itemize out for your use, that's one thing, but I would feel very leery about just blanket, you know, extending the hours across the city.
Yeah, I think we need to do it, but I'm also not opposed to, and I'm not saying this to kind of push you off, or, I'm not opposed to readdressing this weeks down the road, or having time, you know, a lot of this work is something, he told us a little bit about it last meeting, honestly, I don't know enough about it.
Nobody knows anything. They're like,
Right,
what is that?
I'd like to know more about what you do, and I don't mind going up the way. I don't know, and if we can come to some kind of, you know, agreement.
And see, I'm the same way. I mean, it don't have to be left on the street as long as I can get to it, you know, in a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
I don't mind going and getting the cans, as long as it's not behind the fence, behind the house. You know, I kind of want to be able to see it.
And fairness, that would be on the customer too. I would tell them, that's on you, that's part of, that'd be part of the, hey, that's the service, you gotta leave it out to have that done.
That was basically anything with service. I would rather just pull it up one night, pull it back out the next day, and then straight back to the last that day. I mean, I get to sit, tell them that it's not like it, it's a purpose of work. At the same time, I want to be fair to him, but if somebody thinks that they're paying for it, and
I guess I'm lost. I'm not understanding.
I just don't understand when this can't go back out to the driveway whenever he's coming by.
Well, and that's what I'm not understanding, because like what we're changing is making it where they can pull it closer, where you can see it. Like it's not
Right.
like the way the ordinance used to be. It couldn't be inside, so that like it would have to be either inside a garage, behind a fence. So then that would be a problem for you, because then you're trying to go search.
Well, I've already had a couple of customers in Southaven say, hey, you're gonna have to go behind my fence and get my can, and when you're through cleaning it, you're gonna have to take it back behind my fence.
Yeah, this ordinance is solving that. That's what I'm saying.
That's amazing.
See, this ordinance is now, when we talk about the building line, now, this ordinance allows a citizen to have their card in view as long as it's behind the building line of their house. So like you have a driveway on the side of the house, and you got the front building line, they can move their card out in their driveway, even with the building line. So when you drive by, you can see the car.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking you, was made that difficult to just walk, right, just an extra couple of feet.
No, that's not a
So
problem.
that's, I think that's why I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah. I'm sorry
We got
about
a
that.
solution. We
I'm
just,
sorry.
we're just talking two different things, but we got a solution. I think we got a solution, guys.
I think we do too.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming forward.
Appreciate
If you love
you
your
guys.
service, that's an
Thank
outstanding
you so
idea.
much.
Okay, so can we, is there any other discussion about that ordinance?
You want a card? Let me give you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is our school resource officer contract for Southern County Schools, Mr. Nick Manley.
This is the annual contract for the school district to allow for the SRO, or school resource officer. They'll reimburse the city an amount of $150,000 for providing an school resource officer. So tonight, the authorization for the mayor to sign the contract.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the Southaven Police Department sole source provider.
Yeah, this is the sole source for the with Southaven Police Department, Axon Enterprises Inc., for the use of body cameras with Southaven Police Department. The resolution sets forth in detail the reasons for the sole source and the equipment and desires and the needs of the Southaven Police Department, and the fact that Axon does meet those, and the only one who can meet those with along with the sole source letter that's set forth as part of Exhibit 8 of the resolution. So tonight, authorization for the mayor to sign the resolution for the sole source of Axon for the body cameras, and also to sign the contract for the purchase of body cameras and stores and equipment that we need for those cameras. And just so you know that we currently have a relationship with Axon for other properties, for other items as well, that will integrate well with the body cameras. The plan with the Southaven Police Department as they roll these out over the next months and years.
So moved.
Alderman Brooks made the motion, Alderman Hoots second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the JV Hunt release.
Yeah, this is a release for J.B. Hunt, acknowledging the city to be compensated an amount of $20,435 for the damage caused by J.B. Hunt's driver to the city's traffic pole at Airways and Marathon. Authorization for Chris Wilson or the mayor to sign.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for no protest for bond issuance.
This resolution will make a finding by the board as required by the bond statutes that no protest was filed for the combined water sewer system revenue bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $8 million. This is for the AMR project. So at this juncture, the official bond document will be presented at the October 20 meeting. But tonight, the authorization for the mayor to sign the resolution, just noticing that no protest was filed with the city, and the documents will be, bond documents will be presented at the October 20 meeting with validation in November.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is authorization to seek proposals and bids for three different projects and three different departments.
Yes, it's speaks for itself on parks. They get RFP for 20 self-system playgrounds for the park, SPD bid for police equipment, and utility bid for chemicals, authorization to seek these proposals and bids, and then they'll come back to you once the proposals are bids are in for awarding and signing of contracts. You do all one motion as well.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a professional service agreement with Robert Gaines.
This agreement is with the utility department. Robert Gaines, he provides engineering and evaluation services for the SCADA systems for the utility department. The previous agreement in 2013 was $85 an hour. It's obviously been 7 years since we've upped his rate, so the new revised agreement requests an increase to the rate of $115 an hour. It's recommended already concrete and in the budget to perform these services and authorize the mayor or Ray to sign this contract.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for our Southaven Police Department to purchase vehicles.
This resolution will authorize the Southaven Police Department to purchase used police vehicles from Missouri Highway Patrol at discounted prices in accordance with 31.713. The vehicles are basically already needed by the Southaven Police Department and allow the city to save money, and it's accepted to the bid laws. It's just being purchased from another governmental entity in accordance with 31.713 exceptions as noted in this resolution and exhibit. Authorization of the mayor to sign resolution along with the board taking actions to effectuate the intent thereof.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
I think some of them will. I think they already are equipped. I would prefer to Chief Moore, but I think they are equipped.
One of them, a K9 car, a used K9 car will, the rest of them do not come with it.
Sorry.
I would say about $6,500 a car, it's 2018, 50,000 miles. So basically, it's just, money we're saving by the use of about a few extra cars.
For one and four more? We get four more vehicles. And Chief Moore brought up another good point this morning at our department head meeting, that there's an issue now with new cars, and because of the supply line, getting new vehicles, so having these already available during this strange time is also a good decision on the Chief's part to go this route. So. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
The motion carries. Next on the agenda is an affiliation agreement with Northwest Community College.
This agreement with the Southaven Fire Department allows for, this is the first one we've had in place before, but it allows for Northwest Community College to provide students with clinical hours needed as part of their paramedic program. It also requires the students to maintain insurance and comply with HIPAA laws. It has the new dean signature on it. That's the reason for renewal, but it's the same agreement we've had in the past with Northwest. The authorization for the mayor and or Chief Scouting to sign the contract affiliation agreement with Northwest Community College as presented tonight.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for surplus of property in municipal court.
Swear me to adopt resolution Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, we adopt a resolution granting authority to claim private property as presented in the state. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties that would like to speak? Hearing none, roll call please.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook again.
Yes, our first application is for subdivision approval. This is going to be for the Deji Commercial Subdivision. It's going to be on the southwest corner of Getwell Road and State Line Road. What they proposed was a 1 acre lot immediately south of the hard corner. What we found when we were doing research on this is they're calling this the first edition. However, the first initial plat with the hard corner was never recorded down at the county nor through us. So what we're having them do, and they have agreed to it, is to take that hard corner, add it in, change the title block to this is not the first edition, but just as the original Deji Commercial Subdivision, and to include 2 lots in that subdivision. Additionally, you'll see sanitary sewer that is going south. It crosses over that line. That was installed by a private property owner. I've confirmed with Ray Humphrey and Dan Cordell that that is set to be inside a public easement. So we're going to have them drop the easement through Civil Link and get that in the works, but also identify on this plat as a public sewer easement. They've agreed to that as well. So with those changes, we recommend approval, and it was voted unanimously in favor of the planning division.
On item 1, we have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our second application is for minor lot subdivision approval. It's a 2-lot subdivision on the east side of Sweeney Road, south of Church Road. Total property is 3.12 acres, and the applicant is wanting to divide it into 2 lots evenly with 1.56 acres apiece, both having direct access onto Sweeney Road. Per the ordinance, to have a minor subdivision and not do any improvements to the roadway, it must be ag, and it has to be less than 3 lots, which this does comply with. However, on the plat, they were showing us an 80-foot right-of-way, and our comprehensive plan Sweeney is set to be 106 feet of right-of-way, so we need that adjustment made on the plat. They did agree to that, and with those comments, Planning Commission recommended approval and voted unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve item number 2 on the planning agenda as presented.
On item 2, we got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Our final application is a design review application by Amon Devji. If you will recall, a few months back, we did approve by conditional use permit a C-store, which was actually part of a multi-tenant building, 3 tenants at the corner of Church and Getwell in the northeast corner. It's part of a master plan for the overall 16 acres, which the applicant has purchased all of them. So what you have in front of you now is the design review proposal. We made a lot of adjustments to it. It is in the Stone Grove PUD, so the architectural design should be very similar to what you see on the corner of Getwell and Dale. We did have them flip the gas station, as you can see right there, so that the gas kiosk and everything are on the inside, and they're away from the actual street. You see the big blank triangle down there at the hard corner. That's actually city right-of-way, which we will look into maybe an enhancement project in that. But like I said, we did flip it, so it doesn't look like a gas station. We also made them create a faux front along that frontage, but he did opt, since we're putting sidewalks in and he's required to put his sidewalks in, he did opt to put bike racks and a bike and pedestrian lane in front of that portion, and he'll have dual entrances. So the front, where the gas kiosks are, will be for vehicular traffic. On the back side will be for your bike and pedestrian traffic. And if you can go down to the design, the architectural renderings, it is a faux two-story building. We're using some old white and red bricks. We did adjust that somewhat. He made that bright red in the middle. We're actually going to use just two color bricks, an aged white brick and an aged red brick, to make it look old. We also cut down the window lines so we could still have that kind of old Main Street look to it. We wrapped the windows around both sides. We have a heavy landscaping plan and obviously the decorative acorn lighting. He did agree to all of that. So we were very pleased when he came with his final submittal to the Planning Commission. A few final adjustments. He actually asked staff to help pick out the bricks, which we gladly accepted that. But this will set the model for the remainder of the 16 acres there. So it will have a very similar appearance to what you have at where the Chop House is and Lost Pizza and that. So with those changes and the minor few he's got to adjust for, we're recommending approval, and Planning Commission did vote unanimously in favor of that.
May I make a motion to approve item 3?
On item 3, we have a motion from Alderman Wheeler, second from Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion?
Quite proud of this one.
Hearing no other discussion, roll call please.
Yes.
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 The motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our mayor's report. A few things that we need to discuss. First of all, it was brought to my attention today that the Main Street pedestrian project is ready to have the bid awarded. And so the bottom line with that, we had initially, y'all know this project's been underway for many, many years. There have been amendments along the way. I don't even know how long. I know the whole time I've been mayor, it's at least 7.5 years old. Older than that probably isn't. So anyway, we're ready to award the bid, and we had estimated the project would be a $1.7 million project. So we got good news. The project's, the best bid is $1,393,727, and so it's I'm asking tonight for the board to award the bid. Alderman Kelly made the initial, but you'll second, right? So Alderman Kelly made the motion. Second, Alderman Gallagher. Any discussion?
Who's the one who did it?
It is good. Man, I'm supposed to read that. Be able to read that.
It's everybody.
I would help you out, but I didn't know.
No, that's short, Dan.
Yes, it's got everything else regarding the bid on here except the.
It's fair play.
And just to update you further, the breakdown, this initially started with like an 80-20 plan, and there had to be amendments made to it. Dan will have to help me with all this, but there had to be amendments made with MDOT along the way. So MDOT doesn't pick up every change that's made, so it ends up being a 68-32 co-op. So your total out of pocket with, with your engineering fees and everything is going to be 1.4. The city's part of that is 487. So that's how it breaks down. When will they start? We awarded for about 60 days, Dan?
You probably 30 to 45 days.
Okay. And again, for those that may be in the audience that don't know, this is putting sidewalks from along Main Street from Highway 51 all the way to Northwest Drive. Then they'll go up to City Hall. So they'll connect with City Hall, Associated Parks. It'll be really nice for our citizens. Okay, if there's no other, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Another update, the May Boulevard pedestrian bridge. We spent a lot of time since I've seen you guys over the last 3 weeks with Urban Art, trying to finalize design. Whitney and I and Christy, and the bridge is incredible. I mean, the design is just absolutely beautiful. It's going to be an iconic thing for our city, and I've asked them to bring display boards so we can bring that to the next meeting and let everybody take a gander at what it looks like. So they're finalizing the design of the bridge, and hopefully in the next meeting I'll have something to show you. But anyway, we spent a lot of time doing that and making a lot of progress. It'll be ready soon to start actually going to bid, start the bid process for that one too. Again, update on October 20th, I'll have that. Two things, and we'll start with this one first. Every time I try to guess which one's going to generate the most discussion, I'm always wrong, but I'm going to try to start with this one. All right, so y'all know that a couple of years ago, we had to remove the skate park that was located near Highway 51 off Rasco Road, and that did not come easily. That was not an easy decision. I had received many contacts from our citizens about noise, vandalism, promiscuity, drugs, everything that you could think of over there. And I didn't want the skate park to go away. And if one person's getting some valid enjoyment out of it, it's helping one person. You know, to me, it was something that we wanted to try to keep it open. But it got so bad that y'all know we, as a city, we made a decision to remove that. And we surplused that property, gave it to South Point Church. South Point Church does have that, and they have a plan to incorporate a skate park in their building. That plan will be released in more detail in the future. But for a few citizens, that's not an acceptable solution. So I've been contacted and asked why we don't put a skate park out somewhere in our city. And so I mainly just want to bring it to y'all. Just, I don't want to tell them anything without the board, have an input in it. Obviously, we would have the same concerns if we put the skate park, put another one out. I mean, we don't want to duplicate, the same mistakes that we, or the same negatives that we got the first time. So I don't know where that would go. And but I just wanted to have a few minutes to discuss that with all of you. Is there any desire among this board to amend our park enhancement plan now and to build a skate park?
I think it's a good idea. Obviously, there's a need, because I think there's still a viable need for it. I think one of the things that caused the problem, even though I know it was an economical decision when we did it, the portable one that was there in the building, but it being portable and metal, I think kind of led to more noise. I think also, sound vibrated off of it and probably echoed a little bit more than what the traditional one. I've never been to the one in Hernando. I hear it's very nice. I think it's more of a where they dug in and concrete or something. And I think it'd be worth looking at. I don't know what that would cost. I'm not sure what that budget was looking at. But the original location on Rasco or somewhere in City Park, I think would be fantastic.
So I think one of the problems we had was lack of supervision. And that was one of the reasons we just couldn't have somebody over all the time to build the house. That to me, that's when South Point stepped up and said, hey, we're going to put it here and it's going to be a supervised kind of thing.
Right, that's what
I think that was an ideal, remedy to the thing. I mean, it's going to be open to the public, it's not going to charge them anything. They're going to provide supervision, so it's not going to be, anything like we were having a problem before.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to talk to all of you. I mean, it would be, in my opinion, it'd be foolish just to go duplicate what you just did. I mean, and so there'd have to be something different, and that was the issue that we ran into. I mean, basically with the other one, it was almost going to require, 24/7 supervision by our police department. We can't ask our police to guard the skate park. I mean, we can't do that. So
we should have to. So if you're going to build, if we're going to build something, it should come with social responsibility.
Well, what I've explained to the citizens that requested this is we have an official park enhancement and expansion plan. Right, so this board voted to use the tourism money for 4 years, which the law allows, for these plans that have been designated, and a skate park was not in that plan. And so that would be the issue, is that, you know, if that's going to be something in the future, that would have to be in a revised plan, because we've accounted, you know, for the tourism funds, for the projects that this board approved. And so it's not like we just decide right now. I mean, if you do, the board can make a motion second it right now, but that would be the question that Alderman Portis has: how are we going to fund it? Where's that money coming from? Right. And all the other ones, just FYI, all the projects in the plan that the board approved are under construction. So there's nothing to take off the plan. So.
Charlie, you said that it's south of it is,
Yeah.
it's not no charge, no, right, it's gonna be just further, you know, outreach program.
Yeah.
Did anybody bring up the issue with South of it? Is there a reason that would be there, some religious thing?
No, it's not that. The way it was communicated to me is that that it should be this particular citizen doesn't feel like that's a commitment on the city's part for a skate park. They feel like it should be a public skate park and not inside a church. They feel like it should be somewhere. But I don't. That's part of my question too. Is if we did decide to do it, where would we put it?
Right. Solution. So I'm not against the road, but it's, the solution we didn't just completely get rid of it. It's actually somewhere else.
Yes.
Sometimes private things are better. Some things are better done in private because well, there's a choice of control and of course.
Yeah.
It's more than it's controlled environments.
I understand.
Just my initial thoughts.
Thank you.
I can understand where you're coming from as far as it wanting to be a public and safety issue, but that's the sole reason why we got rid of it was for the public and safety issue. And it was causing more harm than good. We know we can't have meeting there. Increase the safety issue. If we were to do it again, I would say this place would be next to one of our precincts. It wasn't directly adjacent to it. That would cause other issues as well, but the safety aspect is still very good. If we were to do it, kind of like what we did, where we were to do church, it was going to have a good event. We were trying to even with the
Any other input? Yeah. Okay, so just to be formal, so I can give a straight answer and move on, is there anyone that wants to make a motion to amend our current Parks Enhancement and Expansion Plan to build a skate park? Is there a motion? Okay, no motion. Okay, the next discussion is similar to that one. I've been contacted by citizens about Central Park, and the concerns expressed, there's a list of concerns about the park. The first one being no bathrooms. Second one being after we announced that that we had the federal money to build the Snowden multi-use trail, and then again to have the Central Snowden on Tullahoma, that multi-use trail. Both of those projects were funded by federal transportation dollars. So when that was announced, then there were some citizens that had expressed concern about the trails that are at Central Park, having the trails redone, improving those. So the request is trails. There was rotten wood on some of the old fencing. We've already removed that and solved that problem. So we're redoing the trails, paving the parking lots that are now gravel, and adding bathrooms and replacing playground equipment. Y'all know that in our budget that we just passed, we have a budget line for neighborhood parks, which a lot of times that's used for new playground equipment. We know every year in our neighborhood parks that the playground equipment is aging, and we're going to have to replace the playground equipment. So we said, we can do that. Like Wes and I already discussed that. we can make Central Park our first use of that budget line for neighborhood parks and equipment. We can change out the playground equipment at Central Park. But it's the things that in the past that we've said no to, the big issue is bathrooms. And again, I want the board to discuss it. I want to be able to give straight answers to our citizens who are asking me. This is not the first time this discussion has come up. I know it's been discussed during my time as mayor, at least 3 different occasions where we went back and revisited this. But the bottom line, after research and what we know, these are things we know, and I don't want to get into a lot of detail because a lot of it involves investigations with our police department. But there are when you add bathrooms that are unattended in a less frequented location where there's not people in supervision there, the bottom line is just the statistics show that you have vandalism, number one, and you have all kinds of promiscuity. And I just I thought a lot about how I'm going to explain this because I don't want to alarm people, but I do have to be very honest with our city. There is no crime that exists in the world that we don't have a sample of in our city. It's just that's just the way it is. I mean, and that's not Southaven; that's every city. We have a sample of about every crime that there is, and there is sexual, there's human trafficking in our city, and we face that risk. And there are pedophiles in our city, and just like any other city in America. And when you bring a facility like this, it just statistics prove that it attracts so many things like that, and just creates such a very risky situation. So what we've done in the past is we've weighed, the benefits of having the bathroom. Obviously, we'd love to have bathrooms there, so we weigh that benefit, and then we weigh it against the risk of these other things I'm telling you about. And I just got to tell you, just like I've told every email that I've responded to, the risk outweighs the reward. I mean, it's just risky, and there's no way, again, back to the skate park. We can clean the bathrooms, but we can't clean the bathrooms every hour. We do not have enough people to clean public bathrooms like you would in a facility where people are occupying the facility. There's just simply no way we can do that. So what you're going to have is you're going to have nasty bathrooms. I know the porta johns are nasty, but if you build new bathrooms, they're going to be nasty. And then they're going to be vandalized, and then you take the risk of, I don't even want to get into the disgusting details, but you take the risk of all the things that come with an unattended bathroom facility. And so that's what I would say to the board, and anybody else that's listening, that's why we've not built permanent bathrooms at Central Park. And again, I'd like to hear from all of you.
Staff, how will we maintain rights goes with that kind of staff all the time? How many people have to be there? Would it only get up a certain hours a day?
Yeah.
Central Park is part of our neighborhood parks. If I'm not mistaken, didn't we just approve new playground equipment for that? But that thing we approved earlier in our agenda.
Yes.
Sure. I think we can take that budget next year. Add a little more to it. If we want to repaint the parking lot, sure we can do that.
Yeah.
But I think to go ahead and make some kind of major investment in something like that. I know Fernando has, their nice park out there off of 51, and their bathrooms are constantly destroyed. They break the bones, they break everything. They put metal stuff up there, they rip them off the wall. So I asked the question when I first started, about water fountains, and that kind of stuff, and it was brought to my attention, vandalism and those things are just ridiculous. So if we can't even build a water fountain across the community, we surely need to spend, $500,000 to build a bathroom, that's going to be constantly tore up, then the people aren't going to be able to use it. They're close enough. There's convenience stores within, a 10-minute drive from there. It's a neighborhood park. Most people can go home. I don't think that park is really designed to have people drive 10, 20 miles, you know, from business to where our house, living there, just, you know, spend the day and need some improvement. To me, I think it's just, we just handle what we got as far as the budget stuff is concerned. And we don't end up with all that half a car just because somebody's going to be to spend this way. A lot of people like that rusty look. I mean, that's one of the things I know, because when I first started, I drove over and I asked them. And they like the gravel parking lot. They like the fact that it seems like you're going out somewhere. You know, it doesn't seem like it's just asphalt and concrete. You know, so, I mean, maybe we can see more gravel, you know, and I don't know about the coffee shops, but we don't tell them, look, you know, the coffee very well. But, you know, if they need to be repaid, then, you know, then let's do that. You know, I think we can afford to do that out of the budget that's there. I mean, West is, is very accessible and open to suggestions about, you know, for any of us, we got a car problem. And Squiggo, I mean, he's probably the fastest department is getting stuff done. He probably needs a problem with the park, he's on it the next day. So, I mean, heck, I can send somebody move in Brookhaven Park, move the picnic table up in the tree. He would have did it the next, you know, that afternoon himself, drove it back down there. So, I mean, you know, I think our parks are very well maintained, you know, and like you said, about the one that had rock wood, I mean, immediately. So, I think some of this, you know, some of the people are misdirected on some of that stuff. I think we do a great job, you know, not running the parks. And if they need improvement, you know, we've got to bring it on, we'll pass it to him, and, you know, he'll make it happen.
Well, and you led me into the next thing I was going to discuss about the parking lots, like, because I hear the same thing that you hear. A lot of people, when I ride through the park, I see it as a huge asset for our city. It's a beautiful natural park. And so that's the way I've answered the question. The question is, well, why do you have this at Snowden? Well, there are two different parks. At Snowden, you have more people there frequently. It's for, you know, you have the sporting events and all the other events. This park is designed to be a natural park, to be, you know, to have that natural feel. You know, you have fishing out there, you have all that. Well, I would think that a lot of people would say, I don't want no parking lots paid, because then it kind of changes the feel of that. So that was one of the requests to pay the parking lots. And Wes did some research. I mean, the parking lots are, you know, we could do parking lots for about $17,000 each with 3 lots. But still, does everybody want to pay a parking lot?
I think they put more gravel down and just let it out.
Yeah. And then about the other thing was the complaint about the trash cans always being full. But just, I'm saying this to the audience and the people watching. The issue is not that we don't have staff to go empty the trash cans. The issue is that citizens abuse our cans. So like it's not that we're just not showing up there to empty them. We go empty them one day, and then somebody rides through the park with their household garbage, and they dump it in our can. Well, again, back to the bathrooms, we don't have enough personnel to stand there and empty the cans every hour. And so I know it looks like we're not, but that's not what the issue is. It's that they're abused. So that's the answer to that question. Yes.
I'll take a little bar up.
Private lot.
Yeah. It's very sad. And the other thing about the walking trails, one of the things that makes some of the parks so beautiful are the huge oak trees. When you have huge oak trees, you got huge roots. And when you have a nature trail, the roots grow into the trail and damages it. So, you know, we can go back and do that. But then again, I don't know that you're ever going to get away from the tree root issue. You know, so I'm listening. I want the people to know I'm listening, but it's just, these are things that, you know, we weigh the good and the bad, and some of these things are just, have been things as a reason why we haven't done them. But is there any other suggestions, or, and I appreciate the comments, you know, is there any other suggestions about what we should do with Central Park? Are y'all happy with the way it is? I mean, do you think that these things are things that we should do, or just talk to me a little bit?
I don't see the need for a parking lot. I don't see the need for that. There's a need. I don't see us building out. That's a lot of lots. Last week, there was a parking next to a lot of games. So if you, yeah, a
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavily used, yeah.
I'd also like to recommend, and I know that I'm gonna do it, and I apologize that I don't do it as much as I do, but I like to get out and maybe visit some other parks and other cities and other areas and just to come up with some recommendations. I mean, we can always make things better. You know, and I agree with you, I like the rustic, you know, I don't know that I want paved apartment lines everywhere in Central Park. I kind of like that it's not that, but, you know, at one time Shelby Farms was just a big plot of land with a pond on it too, and, you know, they turned it into something really great. I'm not saying that we can, I don't want to make a motion that we use our, you know, put it in there to do that now, but at some point, you know, maybe we can find a way to generate some sort of revenue just to go back into the park and do stuff like that. You know, maybe paddle boats on the lake. I mean, I know there's a liability issue. I'm just coming up with ideas. Maybe something in the future that we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be, you know, my daughter was just dying to have a kayak. You know, and she said, and she was asking me, Dad, if I get a kayak, can I put it on the lake over Central Park? I don't know. Probably not. Let's, you know, we'll see. Let's, but, you know, that's not a bad idea. Just stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of people like to do a lot of outdoor stuff. And if any way that we can make, you know, it better, I think that we should always be looking to make it better.
Yeah. And just one more thing to remind everybody, since we haven't discussed this in a long time, back to our Parks Enhancement and Expansion Plan, one of the things on our list that has passed 4 years, it wasn't in this current plan, is adding a walking track there. We're going to do like you would see around the football field, a real track for track and field events. And that way people could use that. And if you want to go and walk or run or whatever, you know, you can go and use the track daily as well. So that is something that, I don't know if the citizens heard our other public comments about that in the past, but that is in the plan. It's just not in the current Parks Enhancement Plan. So, but yeah, so that's something, you know, there's a lot of land for that. We would love to see something like that happen. Anybody else?
I'd like to comment on that. I would say, just to echo, we don't necessarily need a lot of time. We can completely opposed to that procedure. After kind of public, went out with the trails and everything, I went grant trails the next day. I mean, you need to really look at, we have some part of it, so just prove that they're actually seeing it. So we can basically say, you just do some casting and engagement.
Yeah.
Even if we get rid of the folks who already out there, we get rid of concrete, but kind of like make it through where it's a natural trail as opposed to concrete. I'm not sure if that would be a better choice.
That's a good idea.
Just get something like that. I mean, and if we need to raise funds, is there a way that we can maybe modify it, pay it for it, you know, registration fees, because that way it also brings back community involvement and pride in the area as well.
I think a lot of people walk on the park here. How far is it from the park to the first mile? So walk, I guess, maybe.
On the street? Well, the way we have it now, we got it marked as share the road. So like, yeah. So the way it is now, it's not wide enough to add like a separate lane. So we've got it marked now for you know, low speed limit vehicles are signaled to share the road. So that's the way it is. All right. Well, those are great ideas. I just wanted to again address that with everyone, make sure that we're not missing something, that we think it through, make good decisions for the city, and I always appreciate our citizens' ideas. Just it's never a bad time to ask a question and make sure that there's not something that hasn't been thought through well. So appreciate that. Okay, then I'm gonna move on. Two other things. Recently, at a council of governments meeting, I was approached, or all of us were approached by the county with a proposal The Metropolitan Planning Organization, as y'all know, is a federal organization that provides transportation funding to a metro area. When a metro area, they segment that by county, like Shelby County, Tennessee, DeSoto County, Mississippi, that kind of thing. So with our county, there is a membership fee that the county pays to MPO. It's $85,000 a year. So recently, the county has requested that the cities share that fee, and they've actually made two proposals. Since it's already in another budget year, they suggested that they pay 50% of it and then split the other 50 with the cities, and then next year make it to where it's all split based on population. So the 85,000 would break down this way. The unincorporated county would pay $20,750 of that. Walls would pay $652. Again, it's based on population. Horn Lake would pay $12,534. Olive Branch would pay $17,889. Fernando would pay $7,536. And Southaven, being the biggest city, would pay $25,636. So basically, what I need to know from you is anyone want to make a motion to agree to this and to split the county MPO fees. Okay, I'll do it quickly. The MPO, again, everybody knows what that is. Metropolitan Planning Organization. We receive all the areas in a metro receive federal money for transportation projects. And then it's segmented by county. So we all have benefited from these federal funds. But there is a fee that DeSoto County has to pay to the MPO. It's $85,000 a year. And so the county has always paid that. I didn't even know there was such a fee until 2 weeks ago. So I don't know.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we authorize the county to use our tax dollars that we pay to the county to pay that fee.
Are you talking about the?
I mean, our citizens pay the county taxes, and I'm able to authorize them to use the money they collect from our tax citizens to go ahead and continue to pay that.
So, Alderman Hughes, you're talking about like every year, this is just how it breaks down, you know, the taxes that are paid by the cities. Every year, the rural citizens in DeSoto County, or this was, I'm sorry, not every year, it would vary. This is 2018. The rural areas paid $14,509,000 in taxes to the county. The city of Fernando paid $6,368,000. The city of Horn Lake paid $6,673,000 to the county. Walls paid $564,223. Olive Branch paid $18,038,000, and the city of Southaven, again being the biggest city in the county, paid $21,699,000 in taxes.
I'm seconding the order.
All right, so you're making a motion that you don't feel like this fee should be paid, that it should be paid out of the taxes that are generated by our citizens have already paid the taxes.
Right.
For
Let's
these
get our
bases.
county services out of that.
Okay, and then you're seconding that motion? Okay, so we have a motion from Alderman Hoots to say no to this proposal and ask the county to continue paying that fee out of the taxes that are generated by DeSoto County taxpayers inside the city limits of Southaven. And a second by Alderman Flores.
We're not even going to start. Or any of the other subsidies that we pay to the counties. Jail fees, everyone.
So you liken the jail fees kind of like this? The jail fees could be paid with the tax.
Yeah, what was how many again?
21 in 2018, the city of Southaven taxpayers paid the county $21,699,029.
All right, hold on, I got some questions first.
And that's $45,000.
This is for the lobbying, correct?
No, it's not lobbying. No, this is an MPO fee. It's an $85,000 fee that has to be
That they
paid.
had paid for.
Right. You understand what I'm talking about? This is not, I'm going to discuss that next.
Okay.
No, this is a totally different issue. But
Does the county get MPO funds?
sure, every entity in a metro area is entitled to NPO funds. I mean, it's prioritized based on the projects that are, submitted.
Did they say there was a reason that they weren't going to pay?
While they're changing their
Right.
vaults.
They didn't tell me that.
Do I need to remind us of the letter that we got 2 meetings ago? Asking us to, like us to additional money that we went ahead and did. We felt like we had to. It's only $1 million. They could pay us on.
I agree. I know how heavily we rely on the NPO funds.
Well, they're going to withhold our NGO funds?
No, the county, we're a member of the NPO. The county does not control. No, we're a member of the NPO, just like the county does.
I don't have a problem calling my supervisor and asking them to pay it.
Well, I just want to bring it, that's the request, so we need an official board decision on what our answer for the city is, and that's why I wanted, there to be a vote, and so we can give a clear answer back.
So, be clear, your motion is now. Right. They need to pay. They can use the tax money that our citizens pay, just want to clarify that. That's.
So we had the first, again, Alderman Hicks, second Alderman Flores. Did you have any other comments?
I feel like I need a better understanding of how the NPO contract works as far as the county goes anyway. Should the county have been paying it all along?
They have.
Well, I know they have, but I guess my question is, when
Why do
the
you think
NPO
so?
comes around, we pay our share of the NPO money, the county doesn't pay it. This is just a fee.
It's like a membership fee. It's paid to the federal
Membership
government.
fee be part of the NPO that we're already a part of. We already.
Just again, the whole point is take it out of the tax dollars, they already get it.
That's exactly right.
Not that we don't pay it, we are paying it.
We are
I
paying
think we're not paying it.
And if we have been paying,
We have to pay it, we're just telling them, just take their money out of the fees you take from the city, that's all. It's pretty simple. No, we're not paying, we're still paying that money.
And Alderman Payne, I don't know that's the only thing I know is that there's an NPO fee that the county has to pay. And that's all I know. I don't, as far as like how it works, I don't think there's anything.
I think we all were elected to advocate for our positions. Our positions, we're going to say, we already pay that. Let them continue to pay. Why are you taking more money out of it? We're paying the city side.
It's a return for our investment.
Well, I think we have, I think also also we're just saying, all right, this is one of those just where I was. I'll probably say.
Okay, I'm hearing any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote on that decision.
Yes.
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 And that motion carries to say no to this proposal and request that the county pay that fee from the tax dollars that are paid by our citizens. Okay, and then the last thing I have to discuss is there's another proposal that I did send out to the board members regarding, and that's what you were referring to, I think, Alderman Payne,
Right.
regarding a lobbyist. And there's been a recommendation made by Jim Flanagan with the DeSoto County Economic Development Council that the county have, when I say county, all the cities and the county be represented by lobbyists to help us with favorable legislation every year. We know that we've had some problems in the past with a few, not all, but a few of our legislators have not supported the city's request for help and the county's request for help. I mean, crazy enough, even with like big economic developments. And so there's a concern, joint concern with the county and all the cities that maybe we need some help in Jackson. We need a lobbyist. So this proposal is with a company called VPT Strategies, and this person's name is the owner or the actual lobbyist would be Ben Thompson, and he's had an incredible resume with in his career as a lobbyist in the state of Mississippi. So this proposal is to for all the cities and counties to jointly hire this lobbyist, and the total fee per year is $15,000. And again, that breaking that down with all the cities in the county, unincorporated area, and prorating it based on population would give the city a cost of $4,500. There has been discussion also, like when we discussed this at the Council of Governments meeting, this would be things like that would benefit all of us that we have in common, like all the cities and counties. Most things that are good for one are good for all. So these would be issues that this lobbyist would be working on, things that are favorable for the county as a whole. If we had specific issues, we would have to hire a lobbyist, maybe the same one, individually as well. Like a thing that comes to mind is the tourism issue. When the tourism bill, when the repeal date comes up again, that will have to be voted upon again by the legislature. They'll tell us, how it's going to happen, but it would be favorable for us to have a lobbyist during that time. So I guess the question is, do you like the idea of having a joint lobbyist to represent all of us and like this cost share on it? And then if we have a specific city issue, we would just have a separate contract.
Mayor, I looked at his website today, and it's like he just started his website. I mean, there's absolutely no information on it. I mean, none of the links work, that kind of stuff. He comes from a very big family of lobbyists, probably one of the best ones in the state, but apparently he's done it on his own.
He has no proven track record.
Yeah, well, from what I'm seeing, I'm not in favor of doing anything. If it was his family, the family business that he came from, I would say they got a proven track record of being some of the best in the state. But I mean, I don't know. Plus, the fact is we're actually, this guy's going to be working for us in the Golden Triangle, Madison, and Tupelo, I think it was too. I mean, we're just part of grouping it all together so he can make $60,000, off of the four of us. So, so I don't know. I just got some just ain't sitting right. So, this, if this be different, then you can change our mind. It's just something just didn't add up.
Well, and I will say, no, he's got 20 years experience doing it, so he's not new.
So maybe it's a new then I mean, if you go to the family website, his dad and brothers and sisters, I mean, they've got pages and pages and pages of stuff they've done, and this kind of stuff. And this guy, you go to his website, and there's nothing there. So I mean, to me, he wants to hire him to do this, but I mean, anybody he's dealing with is probably going to go do some research if there's Aldermen in Southaven. I went ahead and Googled him and everything else, and I can't find anything about him. He said he worked for the lieutenant governor, and I can't find anything on Google about that. You would think that if he was his chief of staff of the lieutenant governor, I don't know what's going on. So I don't know. I mean,
It's such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Think about
Sure.
So next week.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to introduce it to you, and then,
I mean, the spirit is concerned, others, I like myself times.
yeah.
Research.
But I thought about that,
That's maybe people I know, it's not.
yeah, sure, absolutely. And I thought about, I've met with him several times. I get a good feel, I'll tell you that I get a good feel for him. I think that he could be effective for us, but no, that's very well said. And what I was going to say is I thought about if you want, we could request that you ask him the questions directly, bring him up here, and you ask him those questions.
and we'll let you know.
Again, introduction, but any other discussion about that before? Yes.
And that's why it's like that, as much as I think a lot of these would be beneficial.
I'm 100, I will say I'm 100% convinced that understanding the relationships that a few of our representatives have with their colleagues in Jackson, we definitely need a lobbyist. I would just, from what I've learned in the last 7.5 years about Mississippi politics, without a doubt, considering the weakness of a few of our representatives and again, the relations, their weakness with their peers and their effectiveness in being able to get bills passed. Yeah, yes. Yeah, I hate it too, and y'all know that we've all spoken, and we talked about it until the cows come home. There's nothing else to say. I mean, they're not going to change, and so nothing's going to change. And for that reason, without a doubt, I think we need a lobbyist. But whether this is, again, I think this brings up a good point, and so do the others. All the guys, if y'all want to ask those questions and we'll get more information. Okay, we'll do that. Well, I appreciate that discussion, that input, and we'll move on. That's all the mayor's report. Next on the agenda is our citizens agenda. We do have one person that has registered in advance to speak, Ms. Christine Zinn. If you're with us, please come here. Hello.
I'll just be brief. I love that you guys are talking about parks tonight. It's exactly why I'm here. I live in the Subdivision, right on 51, just south of Nail. We have a green space with already a parking lot, already have a platform there for parking and playground, but we have no playground equipment. There used to be a basketball court there. The poles were taken out some time ago. Our children have nowhere to play. We have a huge neighborhood. I got a couple of my neighbors here, of course, everybody else left. But the ones that said that they couldn't make it, I have 24 stations here in our neighborhood that agree, that we need a park area. Just some swings and a slide, maybe a couple of park benches or something, but just something for our kids to play. The green space is already there. It is at Westminster and Brookside Drive. It ends at the north end of Westminster and Brookside Drive. It's already, Google Maps will show you it's just Soda Woods Park, but there's nothing there. It's public property.
So, Christine, thank you for coming and
Sure.
everything. I think Wes can answer some questions about it, because I think Wes actually came out and took a look at it, didn't he?
I went there yesterday, looked at it, it's, basketball, about 5 or 6 years ago, but, the budget probably gave you guys $160,000, and that's a big slide. Something similar we had at,
So, and I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody, but we just set the budget for the 2021 year and everything. And while this is something we would love to put on, I don't know a way where we can find the funding this year. We can put it on our radar so that we can go out in the future and fund this project. And I would be a huge advocate for doing that.
Right. Well, better, a year from now
Well,
than never.
and you heard Mayor Russell talk about we've been working on one thing for 7.5 years and everything. I don't perceive it being that long. I'm not saying that, but it is something that we can definitely.
Now approach
this is something.
it's part of the same deal. We have big problems in here, but I've been a coach for the Southern County Association for about over 16 years. I've talked to Brandon Thomas about this situation, and he's willing to help us to get soccer goals out there. So I know that you guys were talking about it, and we hadn't had a chance to present our situation. But with the Soccer Association, we would be able to have the coaches be responsible for locking it, opening the place. I live literally like 4 or 5 houses now.
And just for the record, we tell us your name.
My name is Rudolph Salcido,
Maybe spell it last.
SALCEDO, Rudolph like the reindeer. So, like I said, Brandon is backing up our idea of putting some soccer goals out there. So that's a possibility that he's more than welcome to help us. He told me, whatever you need, just to be able to open that park. She said, I mean, right now we got people going back there with 4-wheelers. There's people going back there. I got to call the cops every time because there's some car parked there at 3 o'clock in the morning, moving. Doing the do. So it is a great concern of ours. I've been telling a lot of my neighbors about it, but until now that she has stepped up and said something and started to get some signatures. I think it's kind of all fallen in place. I wish that this wouldn't be something that we just leave till next year and the year after that, because like I said, right now Brandon.
Well, if he's willing to do soccer goals, that's something we can discuss. That's much cheaper than
Right. And then eventually,
not put it off.
because we do need infrastructure for lighting. It's getting dark a little, earlier nowadays. Speaking about the bathrooms, at our soccer fields, bathrooms don't get used like that. Because we are responsible. We lock them up. We as a team, all the coaches, we make sure that everything gets taken care of. So it's a little bit more organized than just having just a park there and whatever happens happens. So that's something to throw out there. So it would take the burden off you guys. How are we gonna keep this place up, or what about the bathrooms? Or that won't happen. We are all responsible for this. We got over 20 coaches. That will be able to use that area, because there's areas that we can't practice at. We're looking for areas to be able to practice in this. They're not. It's almost impossible. So that's a possibility if y'all willing to consider it.
How big is this area?
Probably 2 acres to 3 acres, probably.
I don't think anybody would be opposed to.
Maybe even more, because it's actually was woods. So I don't know how much the woods have actually grown into the park.
Yeah, that's all for a lake though, so anything that happens in the woods, that's what lake property.
And I'm familiar with the park. Actually, I was there today.
Oh, really? Okay.
A few of the streets in your subdivision are on our street improvement list. And
Right.
so I periodically would just drive the city, and I actually was there. I've been to the park numerous times.
Speaking of which, I've been asking lots of times when I've talked to the people that that control that, they change all the time as far as the code enforcement guys. But I've been trying to get Westminster paid for the past 5 years. So we completely paid, and they paid the other street, they paid the other street, and they paid the other street.
Right. Westminster is on the. It'll be.
And that would be right there. If they ends on the park, that would be great for that.
Yeah, well then, West.
Because right now I just saw it to where they're gonna patch it.
Yeah.
They
What they
patch
do.
that thing.
And maybe patch
Times.
repair.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can answer your question. Westminster will be paid within 60 days. So.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Before we
The other.
All right.
But no, the idea is good. It's like we talked about. We set up a budget line for neighborhood parks. We try to hit one a year. With new equipment. So that's something that, like Alderman Gallagher said, we didn't plan on this, but it's something we can definitely throw into our plan. I'll talk to Wes, board. We can all talk, and we'll try to get something done there. As far as like short term, Wes, what are your thoughts on like if Brandon wants to donate? If it's a park, you want to play, let's have them play tomorrow.
Those parks are close, that's not a problem. Garden practice space, strength,
Yeah. I'm just saying, as far as like the kids in the neighborhood, if they just want to go up and play soccer there.
yeah, that's not a problem. We have a party right
Yeah. 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 So it's a little more work than just adding the goals.
Yes, I would love to have it gated at least the front, not full size gate, but something we can lock up to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
That would be probably one of the first things, getting it mowed, bringing the goals in, and getting some kind answer gate
Yeah.
to be able to lock it. You guys have my phone number?
Yeah, would you actually do me a favor? The lady that's behind Christine, Christy Faulkner, if you would give, if both of you would give your contact, I think Christine, you've already spoken with Christy, but Rudolph, if you'll give your contact information to Christy, then we'll discuss that and try to come up with a plan and try to do everything we can. I mean, you're talking to the right people. This board has been committed to enhancing our parks, and we can't always do everything. We have a limited amount of money.
Right.
But we have a plan, and we'll continue to make revisions to that plan. So I really appreciate y'all coming forward, and we're going to try to do whatever we can do to help.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak on the citizens agenda? Anyone else want to speak? Okay, we're going to move on. Next on our agenda is our personnel document.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the personnel document.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update. Nick Bailey again.
Just need to put one thing on our minutes. Thomas Masson, he had the 2020 court clerk conference certificate in accordance with Mississippi Code 21-2312. It's required to be in our minutes. So no action, just note out in the minutes.
Thank you, sir. All right, next on the agenda is our utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve the utility bill adjustment docket as presented on the table.
Got a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda are two claims dockets. Is there a motion to approve docket one?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number 1 in the amount of $2,883,305.38, inclusive of any checks.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion on docket one? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next for docket two is our motion to approve docket two.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number 2 in the amount of $15,420.66.
On docket two, we have a motion by Alderman Payne and a second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on our agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session. Got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Kelly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening's litigation in claims regarding the Southaven Police Department and city infrastructure, sale of city property, personnel in parks, police and fire departments, and economic development in our city. So is there a motion to declare executive session? Got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Brooks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board are now in our executive session.